Imagine spending 16 days in space, completing a successful mission, and looking forward to seeing your family in just a few hours. The crew of Space Shuttle Columbia believed they were about to make another routine landing. They had no idea that their fate had already been decided less than 90 seconds after launch by something as ordinary as a piece of insulating foam. On January 16, 2003, Space Shuttle Columbia lifted off from Kennedy Space Center on mission STS-107, carrying 7 astronauts and more than 80 scientific experiments. The launch looked perfect. Television commentators praised the smooth ascent. Mission Control celebrated another successful liftoff, and the astronauts felt nothing unusual as they climbed toward orbit. But exactly 81.9 seconds after launch, a suitcase-sized chunk of insulating foam broke away from the shuttle's external fuel tank and slammed into the leading edge of Columbia's left wing at tremendous speed. The impact lasted less than a second. No warning lights appeared inside the cockpit, and the crew continued towards space, completely unaware that the shuttle had just suffered a potentially fatal injury. The foam struck reinforced carbon-carbon panels that protected the wing from the extreme heat of re-entry. If those panels were damaged, superheated plasma could enter the wing and melt its internal structure. It was one of the most vulnerable areas on the entire spacecraft. Although some NASA engineers questioned whether the impact had caused serious damage, foam shedding had happened on previous missions without disastrous consequences. Management believed the risk was low, and requests to obtain detailed images of Columbia while it was in orbit were never treated as urgent. The mission continued exactly as planned. For the next 16 days, the crew carried out scientific experiments in medicine, biology, physics, and engineering. Commander Rick Husband led the mission alongside pilot William McCool, payload commander Michael Anderson, and mission specialists Kalpana Chawla, David Brown, Laurel Clark, and Israeli astronaut Ilan Ramon. They conducted research, spoke with students on Earth, and admired the planet from orbit, completely unaware that a hidden hole inside the left wing threatened their lives. Meanwhile, a small group of engineers on the ground remained uneasy. They reviewed launch footage repeatedly and debated the possible severity of the foam strike. Some believed the damage could be significant, while others trusted computer models suggesting the shuttle would survive re-entry. Without clear evidence, no rescue plan or repair mission was ever considered. On the morning of February 1, 2003, Columbia began its return home. After firing its engines to leave orbit, the shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere at nearly 17,500 miles per hour. Outside the spacecraft, temperatures climbed into the thousands of degrees as friction transformed the surrounding air into superheated plasma. At first, everything appeared normal. Then, Mission Control noticed strange sensor readings from the left wing. Temperature sensors began failing. Hydraulic data disappeared. Tire pressure monitors suddenly stopped responding. Engineers watched as one system after another went offline, but they still had no clear understanding of what was happening. Inside the shuttle, the astronauts continued following normal procedures. They had no indication that plasma was now rushing through the damaged wing, melting aluminum supports, destroying wiring, and weakening the spacecraft from the inside. As Columbia crossed over the western United States, people on the ground looked up and admired the bright streak racing across the sky. Many believed they were witnessing another successful shuttle landing. In reality, the orbiter was already coming apart. At approximately 8:59 a.m., Mission Control radioed the crew. "Columbia, Houston, we see your tire pressure messages and did not copy your last." Commander Rick Husband calmly replied, "Roger," before the transmission abruptly ended. Those would become the final words ever heard from the shuttle. Seconds later, communication was completely lost. Over Texas, the damaged left wing finally failed. Without it,
Aerodynamic forces tore Columbia apart at hypersonic speed, nearly 200,000 feet above Earth. The orbiter disintegrated into thousands of pieces that scattered across hundreds of miles, leaving no chance of survival for the 7 astronauts on board. Back at Kennedy Space Center, families waited near the runway, expecting an emotional reunion. Instead, the scheduled landing time passed with no sign of the shuttle. Inside Mission Control, Flight Director Leroy Kane ordered the now famous command, "Lock the doors," preserving every document and piece of data for the investigation that would follow. Recovery teams searched across Texas and Louisiana for months, collecting debris and reconstructing sections of the spacecraft. Their findings confirmed what some engineers had feared from the very beginning. The disaster had not started during re-entry. It had started only 82 seconds after launch, when the foam struck the left wing. The investigation concluded that the physical damage alone did not cause the tragedy. Years of accepting foam strikes as a manageable risk and failing to fully investigate warning signs also played a major role. NASA responded by redesigning inspection procedures, improving safety protocols, and requiring detailed examinations of every show before re-entry. The Columbia disaster became one of the most heartbreaking lessons in the history of space exploration. It proved that catastrophic failures do not always begin with explosions or massive mechanical breakdowns. Sometimes a single overlooked problem, something as simple as a piece of foam, can change history forever and remind the world that in space there is no such thing as a small mistake.